biofuels. Clean, renewable fuels which are easy to produce from vegetable matter such as rapeseed, cereals and sugar beet. The development of the sector will create jobs and open up new markets for agricultural production. But above all, biofuels contribute to solving broad common problems such as the diversification of energy sources and fulfilling the Kyoto Protocol commitments.
Alright, so we're all in agreement that an alternative fuel source needs to come into place. It needs to be implemented because we're going to run out of fossil fuels eventually. And biofuels are a good substitute. You know, they're made from renewable feedstocks grown by farmers, and they reduce dependency on foreign oil for the European Union and the US. So this is all well and good, but there are a few humanitarian and economic issues that lie beneath the surface that we're going to explore today.
Three-quarters of this lush rainforest in Indonesia has now been cut down, and the result is this: a wasteland stripped of wildlife, of all life. They cut it down?
Yeah.
Then they burned it?
Yes.
Then they poisoned the river?
Yes. No, not only the river, but our climates.
Everything?
Yes, everything.
Biofuel may seem like a good idea, but the palm oil boom is built on the ruins of rainforests that will never return.
So this sort of stuff is happening all over the world. Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, Malaysia. But it's not just forest land that's being used for biofuels. It's also the produce from existing crops, food crops, like sugarcane, corn, soybean. The produce from these crops is being diverted to create biofuels instead of feeding the people. So it's simple supply and demand economics. So when you take away some of the supply and there's still the same demand for the food, the price of the food is going to go up. So think about the starving people in developing countries, what's going to happen to them?
Now, I'm not saying it's all to do with biofuel. It's not. The fact is that we've had periods of drought here, we've had failed harvests elsewhere, we've had all kinds of glitches in the market. But one thing I can assure you is that this final little spike, which perhaps is the final thing which produced these food riots in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in India, in China, and more to come, perhaps just that last trigger was the biofuel thing. And of course, biofuel has hardly begun yet. It's only a phantom in the imagination of the sellers of food.
Food riots? What happens in underdeveloped countries when you raise the price of food?
They clamored at the gate and rammed the fence with giant steel barricades. An angry crowd set on storming Haiti's national palace. Throwing rocks and taunting police, they were met by UN peacekeeping troops, firing tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowd. The protesters blamed soaring food prices.
Boiling point in the northern Egyptian city of Mahala. An estimated 2,000 people took to the streets, setting fires, looting shops and throwing bricks at riot police.
But you can't pass the police or the Pentagon, the IRS or the upper echelon. I think it's time to make a move on. The contradiction, bomb, bomb. Rock the nation, take over television and radio station, bomb, bomb. The truth shall come, give the corporations of complication, bomb, bomb. Rock the nation, take over television and radio station, bomb, bomb. The truth shall come, give the corporations of complication. Say, ooh, ooh.
Many have been forced out of their homes in the last year. More than 5 million hectares of land have been lost as the result of forced displacement. Currently, there are more than 400,000 hectares of palm being cultivated and the trend is growing by the day.
The displacement of black communities in the Pacific area is state policy.
Thousands of people were killed and disappeared. The land was also taken.
Pues se subían las pirañas a atacarlo, tirarle cilindro, tirarle cardán.
¿Y la población que estaba ahí por medio qué pasaba?
Pues ellos tiraban los cilindros de las casas.
So as you can see, the situation we have happening across the globe is pretty severe. So the question is, what can we do about it? Well, there's technology that's available right now that we can use to solve all of the problems that I've mentioned in this documentary. Have a look.
Well, what we're doing here is taking any form of waste and converting it into bioethanol. Bioethanol you can run your car on.
It's technology where it's hard to see the downside. It's economic, it's environmentally friendly, it takes a product that we actually don't want, waste, and it turns into something we desperately want, which is an inexpensive liquid fuel.
The process can use a wide variety of waste. For example, it can use forestry waste, it can also use agricultural waste, but also household waste. We can convert that into clean bioethanol, and this would otherwise be sent to landfill.
And if we could use this ethanol from waste, we're not only reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, we're reducing our dependence on foreign oil.
Right, so I think this is the answer we're looking for here. Obviously there are other alternatives, such as planting non-food crops. This is a good method on the surface, but when you're introducing a foreign species of plant to an ecosystem, the ecosystem doesn't tend to cope that well with it, as we've seen with the cane beetle and the cane toad here in Australia. Also, with planting non-food crops, you need twice the land. So you've got your food stock crops for feeding the people, and your non-food crops for creating biofuels. And with the demand for biofuels that we're going to see in the next 10 years, where's that land going to come from? You tell me. Another alternative, cellulosic biofuels. These biofuels are made from wood waste, and it doesn't really take a genius to tell where that wood waste is going to come from. Again, with the increasing demand for biofuel, it's going to lead to more deforestation. Right? So, but with this technology, you know, creating biostocks with household and industrial waste, you've got minimal impact to the environment and no impact on the food market. But still, we're seeing old growth rainforests being cut down every day, and food crops are still being diverted away from the people and for the production of biofuels. So it's about time that the governments of the world started putting a bit more money into the implementation of these biofuel strategies. And it's about time that they stopped putting so much value on the money in their coffers and started putting more value on human lives. Thanks for watching.